You thought you got rid of us, but nope. We're back from a nice company vacation in the Danish town of Middelfart. This time, we discuss the Sarahah app for providing anonymous feedback, discuss the new Acer Mixed Reality headset, take a look at global management of medical records with technology, and then finally wonder why some countries have amazing internet speeds when Australia is so terrible. This episode brought to you by the little men that live in Joel's beard.
Hello, anyone there? Yes, we're here again. You thought you missed us all for 8 weeks, but we are actually back. And welcome to The Day in the Pain, the show where 8 weeks of absence only really feels like 8 hours, and even flat beer is satisfyingly refreshing and smooth. Hey Joel, how's your summer been?
Well, just so the listeners know, I actually took a vow of silence for 8 weeks, and I was at a monastery down in eastern Washington. And if you believe that,
Yes, Father Jackson.
I'll sell you a bridge. No. Bless me, Father, for I have sinned. I probably should take 8 weeks of quiet. That probably would be good.
What about
actually,
8 years? Can we do 8 years?
To just listen for them. Yeah, I don't know if I can make it that long. I'm sure the world would be a better place if I was less audible.
Yeah. But anyway, here we are again. No, it has been about 8 weeks since our last episode, I think, or maybe 7, or something like that. But that's okay. We are certainly back again, and we've gotten over our hump.
I could say, Lars.
Hey?
Yeah, I could say that it's just because there's nothing really very interesting's been happening.
Well, we could blame it on that. Sure, let's do that.
No, there's always something cool out there to talk about. So
absolutely. Yeah. So what have you been doing?
Well, that's a good question. Just a lot of family visiting, and literally since the beginning of the summer, we've had somebody in town, and then of course in our community, the high school, when you graduate, they have class reunions every 10 years, and I've never gone to mine. And this year I went. It was a 30-year reunion, and it was just a lot of fun. I mean, it was just a blast. It was really fun. I've several of my classmates have worked at both Google and Microsoft, and so it was fun just catching up with them and seeing how well they're doing, and of course behaving like little kids again. So
that always happens.
Not every part in the U.S. is like that, but yeah, and every class has a float at the parade for the 4th of July. So there's a lot of hometown traditions here that are pretty fun. So not that took up the whole last 8 weeks, but mostly that's it.
Okay. Oh yeah, right. Geez, I feel like I haven't done anything. Yeah, because the last episode we recorded, I was sitting in my parents' lounge room, I think. My family came out to Europe. We traveled around a bit, and we went back to Australia to the cold because it is still winter here. Although it's kind of starting to get spring-like in any case. But we got back here, and it's kind of back to the daily grind, I guess. I'm doing NDC Sydney next week. I'm going to this quite interesting new event called Pluralsight Live in Salt Lake City in September. And the reason it's kind of interesting is that I haven't seen an event like this before. So it's an attempt to gather people that are authors, so authoring Pluralsight content, the staff of Pluralsight, so the people that create the product and create the platform, the learners, so those are the people that listen, watch the videos and learn from it, as well as the managers and the strategists that kind of figure out where do we take the technology from here. And they've got really, really cool speakers announced. They've got, one of the ones I'm looking forward to is Joel Spolsky, who is the CEO.
With a name like Joel, he's going to be good.
No, this is a cool Joel, though.
No, the other kind of Joel.
And he's the CEO of Stack Overflow, which most geeks will recognize.
Oh yeah.
So he's coming to speak. There's a bunch of authors speaking, myself included. I'm going to do a talk on Microsoft's new Fluent design language or platform. There's just a ton of content in like 2 days or 3 days. So I'm quite looking forward to that. And then in October I'm going to Norway again. So it's all go.
I'm waiting for the website, a business startup called eFluent.
Yeah, oh God.
Sorry, that's my that's a horrible joke.
That was Joel's contribution for today.
Yeah, thank you very much, Brata. So you're talking about those videos and stuff, and so this is sort of an aside, but kind of related to. One of my nephews has a boat parked in my driveway with an inboard outboard. That means that the engine's in inboard of the boat, and then there's an outdrive. And of course, it broke down because they're crap. But the point of the story is that although he's mechanically inclined and fixes stuff, he basically took apart the whole rear unit and rebuilt it using short videos, had how-tos on his phone. And this was the first time I'd seen somebody do something that complex based off of what you're talking about, which is, a how-to tutorial, similar thing to say you would see with Pluralsight, which got me thinking more and more about, and this is a bigger subject for another day, but education and how education is delivered overall and where we may be going. So anyways, that sounds really cool. Although Salt Lake City is not the first place I go to.
Well, that happens to be the headquarters
or want to go to.
Pluralsight. That's where they started, right? So that kind of makes sense. I like the whole idea of...
I have relatives there. They were just here.
Oh, okay. Is that good?
I have relatives everywhere.
I don't know why. The really cool thing about this that I haven't seen before though as well is that the talk I'm doing it's about what to learn next and not necessarily how to learn it. So if it's not about learning the next JavaScript framework, it's about figuring out what's the next JavaScript step in terms of maybe architecture or technology or something. So it's much more about future-proofing yourself rather than learning a new thing. And I kind of like that approach. I think that makes sense because you can't learn every single technology, right? So it's more about knowing what's out there and what's coming.
Yeah, I think. God bless the person that would even try.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
You want to? Because all you would be doing is taking classes.
Yeah.
Really. This friend of mine who's an engineer who I was talking to with over the 4th was telling me about how he had, in his roles in engineering and working in computer engineering, he's become much more of a delegator. So really his role, he says, is more and more just helping the new folks organize and progress through work versus because he says he doesn't know as much as they know technically because there's just no way that he could keep up. But what he does have is the experience and the ability to work within an organization and deliver, timetables and all that stuff. So, his advantage, of course, is treachery and not knowledge.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. And
but it kind of goes to what you're talking about.
It's almost a cycle of, developers especially, but probably any industry is that you get the young energy and the younger people that are just eager to learn absolutely everything. And you get to a point where you kind of go, okay, I realize now I can't learn everything. So I'm going to focus on these things that I know work and I know that will create a result. And then I'll let, maybe I'll manage to people that are, eager at producing technology or something. And it's just a natural cycle, I think. That's not unusual.
So you got to go talk a lot. What else is going on in the world besides?
Wait, I thought I'd just mention that we got a new furry family member. We adopted a 5-year-old German Shepherd named Max. Unfortunately, his
not a puppy.
No, it's not a puppy. He's 45 kilos, so what, 90 pounds or thereabouts. He's a big boy.
Oh dear God.
He's very sooky though. He's a very, very nice dog. His current owner, his previous owner, whatever you want to call it, unfortunately she had quite aggressive cancer, so she couldn't look after him. So we've adopted him.
No.
Yeah, no, it's quite sad. But we're happy to give Max a home here. He's pretty funny. He's essentially a big puppy, and his paws are the size of Lithuania. He's just a big dog, and yeah, we'll see. We've had him for a couple of weeks now, and it's going well so far. He just doesn't like the cat, or he likes the cat too much.
Well, that's okay. I think the nice thing about a big dog is that people don't know if they're friendly or not.
Exactly. Because we run the B&B, and we have businesses here. We have a lot of people coming in and out, and he'll stand at the door, and people don't come up there. They just wait for us to come out. So that's it works that way.
Can I ask you a question about German Shepherds? So I'd always, when I was in Europe, or when I was in England specifically, they were always referred to as Alsatians.
Yeah.
And I'd never heard that term before. And in the States, I've never heard here. So what is that the same thing? Is that just a different sort of technical name for them?
I'm not sure if... I don't think there is any difference as far as I know. I'm pretty sure that it's just two words for the same thing.
I see. It's not a like a German word or something like that for the same dog or breed. Sorry, I assume that you knew everything, so I just
well, my other half, she's had 5 shepherds. She might actually know everything. Yeah. So I think that there might be a difference, but as far as I know, I'm not sure there is. Yeah, I think. Oh, here I've just found a definition of it actually. The Germans were the arch enemies of Britain, and because the Britons started calling it German Shepherd, the Germans didn't want that, so they came up with a new name, Alsatian. So yeah.
Well, that's stupid.
It's
that's just ridiculous.
It is what it is. Yeah. So it is the same thing.
All right. Well, I guess that's. I got my answer.
You got your answer. Yeah, that's what we do here on this show. We deliver answers.
Well, no more questions and answers. What were we going to talk about? I've got lots of stuff that is bouncing around in my head. But I think we narrowed it down a bit.
I think we should talk about this. Like, you found this article, and I mean, I hate to pick on people's English, but this is terrible. Like, it's horribly written, but it's an interesting topic, right? It's like, it's just so bad English. I mean, I'm happy because whatever their background is, I'm sure that their second language, as English is better than my second language, as whatever it might be. But I think that we could talk about this app, which is called Sarahah. I believe is an Arabic word. It means honesty. So apologies for me not pronouncing that correctly. But it's something you found, Joel, and what is it?
Well, actually, there's sort of a backstory to this. So, one of the things that, I've kind of laughed about is how, apps, sort of had this sort of, long, popularity you heard about all the time was apps. And so it'd been a while since any of my kids had mentioned any kind of app. And tonight, before dinner, my youngest, second youngest was Sam. What's going on about this stupid app? He was just railing on it, and this was it. And he started talking about it, and so I went and looked it up, and sure enough, it I think is the fourth top trending application in the Apple App Store. And what intrigued me about it was first of all that he had mentioned it, which really to hear a new app mentioned is kind of unusual for me anymore, and I don't know if that's been your experience. The other thing that was interesting to me about it is that it was an Arabic developer that came up with this notion. The other thing I like about it is it creates a unique identifier for you, and that people can go share off of. And that idea, I really like. Now, I don't know what people would actually use this for, but right now, you can go out and use these little polls that you can send out to folks and ask them questions and get responses and compile them. And I thought, well, this would actually could be a devilish way if employers wanted to get feedback on you, right? Or if coworkers or other people wanted dirt on you. It just seems to me like this could be used for a lot of nefarious purposes. That might actually just be a sad reflection of my own mental state and my own biases. Because, I mean, it's conceivable people could send nice things to you. But it's interesting also that it's available for iOS, Android, and Windows. So I thought I would bring it up just because I hadn't seen anything, that sort of has been a big splash out there. But, I'm not necessarily on the cutting edge to all this stuff.
No, I mean, I certainly haven't used it either. I mean, I hadn't even heard of it before. It seems like an interesting idea. I still don't quite understand how it works. I think it's something to do with it. You can do one-way communication, which is meant to be for feedback and praise. Is that right?
Yep. Well, I mean, I guess you could use it for what you want, but I was thinking, like when you go and give your talks at Pluralsight or wherever you're going to be, I mean, conceivably you could put it, or we could put it on our Facebook page, a link, and people could give us whatever feedback they wanted to.
Okay.
The thing about that is, of course, it's only as good as the people are going to be honest with you, and it's going to be you're going to select the people you send the link to, and then the people that respond are going to be the people that likely either feel strongly one way or the other about you, right? So
yeah, well, you can still try. Why not? Let's put a link up. We'll do that. We'll see what happens.
Oh no, I think it'd be kind of cool. Especially in real time.
Okay.
Because I think that's probably one of the hardest things that people struggle with in public presentation or speaking. You can go around and ask people. You can give them a little rote piece of paper they have to fill out. But those things, I mean, in my experience, are garbage. If I'm giving a talk, to be honest, I would rather have somebody come up afterwards and go, I didn't really get what you said, or I'd rather have people give me their opinion face to face, because otherwise it's really hard for me to consume that. But I don't know. Maybe this would allow that.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it's intriguing. Because it's such different way of using social media. I guess it is social media. I guess maybe. I'm just getting my head around it.
Well, it doesn't allow you to track whoever the person is. So really, in a sense, you're gonna get people are not going to be afraid of reprisal, which is. I was thinking the other thing I was thinking this would be useful for is for companies that have those like if fraud and abuse hotlines,
Mm-hmm.
or if they're disgruntled employees or people that have concerns that they want to share anonymously, this seems like it'd be a really good way to do that. Potentially.
Yeah. I'm just looking at the website, which looks like it's been made in 3 minutes.
Well, it's fairly new. It's a fairly new app. Yeah. I mean, I think it was out in June.
Okay. So it says here that you get honest feedback from your coworkers and friends. Well, what about the abuse angle? Like, it could be so easily abused.
Yeah.
Like, how do you make sure that, because you can't track who it is and you can't reply, what's to stop people from being trolls and nasty, Anyway, I'm just playing devil's advocate here.
For me, I think the idea and the usefulness is something that is more important than this specific app, and also, being able to post a limited sort of scenario. So if you did it for your talk, you could you could have a list of attendees and present them with the
Mm-hmm.
link and encourage them to give you
Yep.
feedback. And then at least you could open and close the link up for an hour.
Sure.
You have some idea that the people that responded actually saw you or listened to you, rather than having it up all the
Mm-hmm.
time. But yeah, it'd be fun to try out on our site and just see if anybody does,
Yeah.
or maybe not.
No, we'll do it. All right. Sarahah? Maybe it's Sarahah. I don't know. I'm
I
not sure.
can't. Don't ask me.
Maybe we can get one of our
because I'll massacre.
Arabic-speaking listeners to tell us. And yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I hadn't seen anything like that before.
Yeah. So if anybody else, I challenge you, go out there and find the hottest app. I mean, yeah, Snapchat gets talked about a lot, but that's because the stock is in the tank and the company is doing horribly. But beyond that, there's just not very much else
No,
out
there
there.
isn't. Huh. Yeah. Now, did you know that hell has frozen over? Yep.
And really, I thought we had global warming going on.
No, it has. Last week, the unthinkable happened. I bought an Android phone.
With your own
with
money?
my own money.
Which one did you get?
So here's the disclaimer. I'm not actually using it. I'm doing a talk next week on Cosmo the robot, which we've talked about before.
Yeah.
So I'm doing that, and the app that you need to control Cosmo essentially and interact with him exists for Android and iOS only. And I'm not going to get an iOS device. So I went and bought an Android. I have no idea what it was. A HTC something rather. It was like $150 device. It seemed pretty good. And it's right out the box. It's incredibly buggy, as all Android devices have proven so far that I've used. But it works, and it works with Cosmo, and it serves my purpose. I don't know if I would use it every day. But I must say that it's refreshing to have like up-to-date apps like Uber actually doing, looking refreshed. The Uber app on Windows Phone, I think, has not been updated, at least not the UI for ever, probably.
Sure.
So that's
Yeah. I'm sure you're not having to go to access it through a web page or something like that. It's always a little bit, you almost have to kind of work around things a little bit.
Yeah, no, the app works just fine on
with
Windows Phone. There's no problem. It's just a bit basic, I guess. Like you can't share rides, and there's just a few things you can't do. But yeah, so I bought an Android phone. Another thing that happened in my hardware universe here is that I received an Acer Mixed Reality device. So this is this new generation of mixed reality devices. So the first one obviously was the HoloLens that we've talked many times about, and these new devices are running what's called Windows Mixed Reality, which is a Windows 10 feature, I guess. But where the HoloLens is, what was it? $2,500? No, what was it? $2,500 US or whatever it is. $3,000.
I can't remember.
I can't remember now.
It was at least 2,000.
Yeah, many monies. These are a lot cheaper. The Acer one I've got is about $400. There'll be an HP one and a Dell one and a Lenovo one, and they'll all be about that price mark, $300, $400, $500. And the main difference, there's two main differences between the HoloLens and these devices. One is that you don't have this see-through visor kind of setup that the HoloLens has. It is a completely enclosed experience. You have goggles on essentially, which means that it's kind of is much more like a VR experience. But it's still mixed reality because it still has the sensors on the front, the environmental sensors to map the room you're in, which means that the mapping of it will be projected in the VR experience that you have. And the other thing is that it's tethered. So it comes with a mighty long cable. I'm not sure. What is it? 4 meters, 5 meters long or something. this is the part where I just say, please don't ask me any more questions about it because I don't have a computer that's powerful enough to run it. So, um,
that is just
I
pathetic.
know, it's pathetic on my part,
Yeah.
and to be honest, I'm a little bit disappointed in the fact that yes, it's a dev kit. It's for early adopters, but I would have thought that at least it could run the experience of it on a standard, machine. I have 4 different laptops at varying degrees of, different things, and all of it comes down to the graphics card or the graphics driver is not up to date, or not new enough. And
I mean, the flip side of that would be is why would they send out a dev kit for a device that's aimed at mass market when it has to be supported by something that likely isn't going to be mass market? I mean, if
and
it should run off something pretty simple, I would think.
yeah, well, just at least just a medium, middle of the road kind of newish 2-year-old laptop, right? I would have thought would be 8 gigs of RAM. Yeah, that's fair enough. But it requires. I mean, I believe I saw some early when they first announced these things. There were some early reports of being able to use integrated graphics drivers on your chipset that most laptops will have, because face it, most people will have laptops today. That's just how it is, a MacBook or whatever it might be, and it just doesn't. I don't understand hardware much. I'm not a hardware guy as such, but it needs some sort of GFX 1070 graphics card or 960 or something, which apparently is fast. And it only comes in, I don't know, it only comes in gaming PCs, right? So you need, and I'm not a gamer. I don't play games. I got an Xbox if I feel so inclined. But I don't have that hardware. So now, in order to use this, either I need to find someone that will lend me a gaming PC for a bit so I can try it out and figure out what it does and what to do with it, or I need to spend $1,500 on a machine that I might not need. That's kind of my conundrum.
The other thing, and not to be sort of critical about something you haven't even tried out, but the fact that it's on a leash, I don't know. For me, that's like one of those things where I don't know that I can go back. It's not like I'm used to having Xbox controllers and stuff like that, 15, 20 feet away from the device, and I don't know that I have anything that I think that my headphones actually are the only thing that I have that doesn't work wirelessly. My house side, having to be tethered seems to be odd especially if you're going to be using it for gaming.
I don't know. I can kind of live with it. It's if that's the price to pay for having a $400 headset instead of a $2,500. Okay, all right. I can live with that. Fair enough.
Okay, yeah.
But it's just like you gotta make it run on consumer hardware. Maybe it's aimed at gamers. Maybe I'm just not the right target market. But to be honest, I did sign up for this with the intention of developing for it and actually educating, mainly education around like what does it do, how do you use it, what are the quirks, all that sort of stuff, because that's what interests me. But I can't get started right now. So I will get there, and on a future episode, we will talk more about it. But right now, I can't actually do anything with it.
Well, we did talk about how, and I think I recall very clearly saying that the real winners in the current boom of VR or mixed reality devices are going to be the PC makers, because it's going to drive sales and for people to upgrade their hardware.
Yep, for sure.
And I think that has been borne out. Notwithstanding, I'm looking forward to seeing what you do with that, especially with your little robot.
Yeah.
Maybe you can do a little deal with both of those.
Yeah, I don't know. To be honest, I've got a few
what's
ideas.
What's the name again? Cosmo or?
Well, yeah, Cosmo. That's the little robot. God, he's hilarious. I've been building up this presentation for next week, and I just found the coolest things. Like it's a bit cheating, right? Because I'm gonna bring toys to this presentation, and I'm just gonna be entertaining for an hour. But I really think it's gonna go down well. Like it's just gonna be fun.
I don't think I've been entertaining for an hour my entire life.
Well, would you like me to start now?
If you added them all up,
Um, yes.
and that's Acer. It's an
It's
Acer
an Acer
device.
device, yeah.
Okay.
It looks quite nice. It's like a blue, shiny kind of
I
goggle
got-
thing.
I got Sam an Acer, the latest Acer cell phone, Windows phone, because it was $100. It was cheap.
You cheap bastard.
Yes, he really likes it. So, yeah, sure. Why? If he's going to break the damn
It's
thing.
true.
Anyways, I digress.
Um,
I love Sam. But what's next? Am I up next? What are we
yeah,
talking
you're up
about?
next. Now, you found another article, and I'm not sure what it's about. You kind of explained it to me, and then I forgot. But I'll read the headline, and you take it from there. It says here, Epic Systems CEO. So this is a lady called Judy Faulkner, and she's a bit of a name within the tech executive world. She's been doing many cool things. Epic Systems CEO had tense exchange with Joe Biden over medical records. And Joel.
Well, first of all, yeah, for the people that this gal, and I shouldn't, yeah, she was, kind of a, way ahead of the world when it comes to a woman in business. When she founded Epic, I think it was back in the 70s, so, back when I was a kid. And Epic is a huge company. They make software that runs many of the hospital systems, healthcare systems in our country. Now, the part that intrigued me about this was not the fact that she was arguing with former Vice President Biden. It's that a lot of the rules and things around sharing information are set by Congress. And in the latest, it's called 21st Century Cures Act, they slipped in some language that talked about how medical records could exchange data between these different electronic medical records. And, for people that are in the U.S., every country in the world, the National Health System in England has a system that they use. And so the way that information is shared is an issue wherever you go. But the language was very specific, setting a goal for basically a single longitudinal format for medical records, making them quote unquote easy to understand. And as someone who works in healthcare and is for most of my adult life, I've seen this argument before, which is to say, the patient doesn't understand the record, so I'm going to dumb it down for you. You don't need to see all the, you don't see the oncologist's report because you don't understand it. And so the argument they're alluding to is just basically the discussion about that tension. What do you do? And so the reason it was interesting to me is, one, this argument about how and what information should be shared between different electronic medical records is ongoing, and it's in almost every country in the world. And then just as a person, I fall into the camp that if it's my medical record, which it is, I want the whole thing, and I don't want an algorithm or someone who's, and this isn't a slam, but someone who's a coder making a decision about how that information is going to be triaged. And I can tell you that when we, in a practice that I worked in, we had 12 providers. The decision process for deciding what was going to be scanned into a digital format and how it would be arranged in the electronic medical record, this is when they're converting to paper to electronic, that decision-making process was one of the hardest things I've ever done or been through, because each one of them had a different idea of what was important and where it should be. Now imagine that spread across the system with hundreds of thousands of physicians and tens of thousands of different healthcare systems. So it's just an enormous but compelling problem to have. So sorry, if you can tell that it's very interesting to me, and it's one of those things that people don't talk about. but obviously this lady has made hundreds of millions of dollars to become very wealthy with Epic, and I think Epic is actually a very good software. Um, you know, so anyways, I just thought I'd bring that up
Yeah, it's a
and see what your
it's a
thoughts are.
huge problem though, isn't it? Like, or to solve. Like, I know it's how do you even where do you even start? Like, because part of the whole medical, to me, a doctor's opinion is just that. It's an opinion. It's based on education. It's based on experience, but it is just an opinion, right? And doctors get it wrong as much as anyone gets it wrong in other fields. So I don't know. I don't think you could formalize a way of analyzing all these records, as you're saying. I think you do need human input somewhere, but you may need more than one human. I don't know. It's tricky.
Well, I think to me, I think you can, um, but I mean, I think you could do it either way. To me, if uh, well, the solution that we came up with in one practice I worked it with is when we released records, the physician there were key elements to the patient history, their history and physical, and that would be on a quote unquote a face sheet or one-page document that sat in front of all the other records. So there was something that someone could refer to quickly, but if they needed more information, they could refer back to the specific encounter, the note, or any of the testing around
Sure.
that. And so I do think there's a way you can do it. Obviously, if you're a country that has a single medical system or record, it makes it, well, arguably it makes it a lot easier. Probably depends on what the system is. So I think in the U.S. though it's a more of a political game because all of these companies are vying for the same technology dollar, and so they're going to lobby the government to give a system that is favorable to them. So it's not necessarily going to be based on what's best or more effective for
Yeah,
healthcare,
as everything always happens. Yep,
right?
yep. That's the story of the internet in Australia. Holy moly. Now,
Yeah,
speaking of the internet,
the story.
speaking of the internets, one of the sites that I think every single geek in the world will know is Speedtest. Now, there's many copies of it now. Like, you can just write Speedtest in Google and it'll give you a speed test of how fast your broadband is. But the actual speedtest.net website, every time you do a speed test there, and believe me, I've done it many times to try and figure out this Australian outback internet here, they record that result, and they record where you are, which country you're in, and probably possibly which city you're in as well, and they can make stats on that. Like, it's basically free data for them. And they put out this survey, global index of mobile and fixed broadband speeds in all over the world, and it's it's interesting. There's there's a few surprises, and then there's some that are not. Off the top of your head, what would you say would be the fastest country in the world for fixed broadband?
Well, I'm looking at the list, so I'm kind
No,
of
but before you look at the list, play along here, mister.
I mean, I would have assumed that a country like somewhere in Northern Europe, a smaller country that was wealthy,
Yep.
but probably in Europe.
Yeah, I would have said probably South Korea, Sweden, something like that. Either Southeast Asian country
Yeah.
or one of the Northern European countries. I'm with you on that one. So, but this it says here Singapore is the fastest by quite a lot, 154 megabits
Yeah.
on average. So these are averages. I'm not sure what the calculation is to actually get these numbers, but they're averages in some regard. I'm sure they're weighted and filtered and everything. But 154 megabits. Number 2 is South Korea with 125, and number 3 is Hong Kong. Then you got Iceland, and then number 5 is, I must say, I was very surprised, Romania. Romania apparently have amazing internet.
That caught my eye as
Yeah.
well. I was kind of surprised about that, but remember we talked about Romania several shows back and how because at least this was my hypothesis was that they were they labored under Eastern, sort of as a former Soviet Union state for so long that they didn't have the burden of having to update, sort of maintain current systems, and they
That
didn't
may be
have
it.
sort of the embedded industries to stop it from growing. So basically, they could start with the latest and greatest.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know if that's
I
true,
don't know.
but that surprised me.
So I would love to, if we have listeners from Romania, or they are aware of the situation in Romania, tell us, like, why? Is it because you had some sort of government initiative, or as Joel says, do you just get to start from scratch? Why? But
Well, probably more interesting to me is, okay, so you have the fixed broadband, and then you have mobile. What's interesting to me is when you have these huge disparities in where they rank. So South Korea is number 8 on mobile and number 2 on fixed broadband.
yeah,
Right?
that's
So that's
that
pretty
makes
close.
sense. Yep.
Singapore is number 1 on fixed broadband and number 4 on mobile. But Romania is 5 on fixed broadband. And then you have to go all the way down to, I don't know, somewhere like 26 when it comes to mobile. So the countries that have these huge disparities, I think, are pretty interesting, and I kind of wonder why that
when
is.
you're saying that, the gap though is not very big. Like the gap at fixed broadband is huge.
Sure, yeah.
Like 154, and then even number 10, Lithuania, is 67. Like it's more than double. If you look at mobile broadband, is that what we call it? Mobile? Yeah, mobile broadband, I guess. Number 1, Norway, 52, and then number 10 at 36. Like, there's not a huge disparity between them. But I agree, there are, yeah. I must admit, I'm surprised to see Australia is number 6 for mobile broadband speeds. That's,
Yeah.
I'm not sure how that happened.
Based on our experience with your Surface.
Yeah. Anyway,
Sorry,
we do
Lars. That was a cheap shot on my part.
Well, to be honest, we actually have a reasonable 4G network or LTE network. It's actually okay in the major cities, and it's coming in rural areas as well. We have 4G now at the end of our road, which is not where I am right now, unfortunately. So hopefully it'll creep up the valley here as well. But very interesting, just statistics of just looking at speed tests. One thing I'd love to compare this with is, say, 10 years ago. Like, have we actually progressed a lot, or have we just, not done much really? I think the mobile speed has gone up. I'm not so sure about the broadband.
Yeah, I wouldn't know, though. It's a really cool site, and there's a gazillion of them out there, like with really neat stuff, and if all you had to do all day was go and look, this would be one of them to have on the list. And of course, doing speed tests is always fun.
I have to
and comparing if you're
hold on. I have to mention though, I must say, if we have listeners from Venezuela, I am mighty impressed, because according to this, they're number 133, the last spot on this list for fixed broadband. And I just want to say thank you. If you make it through an episode on that kind of speed and that kind of broadband, I'm wasting an hour or maybe 10 hours, however long it takes, I must say I'm very impressed.
I think right now, with a constitutional crisis going on, and really just some awful news out of Venezuela, probably their broadband speed is down the list of things to be worried about.
It might be.
It's so sad.
It is a bit sad.
It's so sad.
It is a bit sad, and it's I just hope we can all get up to speed. I truly believe that fast internet does make the world a better place. People can communicate better. It's easier to get information across, and meet people online. All these things are just possible, and if you don't have that, it's just harder.
Well, I have to give a shout out to my favorite local restaurant, the Diaz Cafe here, that's been in business for, I think, 40-something years, Filipino food. They finally have the ability to take credit cards and have a box account, so you can
see the world is moving ahead.
And I know that Yes, I know the people that run the place, and her son came back to town to help out, and he's my age, and he finally like pushed him over the edge. He's like, you guys are missing out on money not
Yeah,
having the
yeah.
ability. So for the people out there that think everything in the world is already, digital, everybody uses swipe cards. No, it's
Oh
still,
yeah.
the change is still happening.
Oh yeah. My local coffee shop in town actually just got a credit card machine as well. He'd been doing cash all this time as well. So yeah, we're changing one shop at a time. um, yeah.
Well, Lars, I hope you didn't lose, or maybe I hope you did lose your ability to tell jokes over the summer. You've had 2 months to find a decent joke.
I've got a great joke because
Don't tell me.
no, I do. It is. Yeah, we cannot go past this point of the show. This is what people hang out for. You know this, Joel. This is the only reason
the
that
only
people
reason
listen
people
to
listen,
the show
yeah.
is to listen to the joke of the week.
That or if they have insomnia.
It's the joke of the week, so come along with me. I cannot promise it will be funny, but it's the joke of the week.
So a human is talking to a computer, right? And the human says, what do we want? The computer goes, natural language processing. When do we want it? Computer, when do we want what? You get it? You get it? It's amazing.
Oh, it's nice to know some things never change. But hey, everybody, go check us out on Facebook, on Twitter. If you have interesting ideas or things you want to share with us, hit Lars or I up. We're still listening, even though we weren't recording. I appreciate your support, and look for our shows. Generally, we're out on Sunday Alaska time, and Monday Lars
That's it.
time.
Large
Right?
universe.
Is that right?
Yep. That's it.
In the Lars hemisphere, and then my hemisphere, the cool one, of course, it's Sunday.
Sounds awesome. All right. Well, until next time.
Until next time,
Yep.
Lars.
You go. Have you shaved yet? Anyway, we'll see you next time. Bye.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening in on another episode of The Dane and the Pain. We record across the Pacific, across hemispheres, and across time zones. You can find us on www.daneandthepain.com. Our Twitter handle is Dane_Pain, and we are The Dane and the Pain on YouTube and Facebook. We're also on your favorite podcast app, including iTunes, and please join our fan club by clicking the Register Now button on our website to know about upcoming shows and any free stuff we may have to share. See you next time on The Dane and the Pain.